would you like to learn a simple process to become a billionaire? Sounds too cheesy or too good to be true? In this video, we're going to prove you otherwise as we're bringing back our world-renowned guests, Peggy McColl, the author of the amazing read Savvy Wisdom, and Bob Proctor, author of New York Times best-selling book You Were Born Rich and the star of The Secret.
Anyone that will take the time to write what they want in the present tense and then carry it with them and read it every day, they're going to get it. Just as sure as it's going to get dark tonight.
So if the desire is to be a billionaire, then you've got to think, act like a billionaire every single day, continually throughout the day, not just once in a while or for 5 minutes with your eyes closed in the morning or the same in the evening. It has to be something that you really anchor in as you believe it.
And you've got to get to a point where you don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. It's what do you think that's important? Because you become what you think about. That's the one point all great leaders agreed on. They disagreed on virtually everything else.
They are back on our show to teach you a proven billion-dollar practice. Would that be helpful for you? Because if yes, then smash the like button to show your support. I'm your host, Kiana Daniel, a 4-time and a newly best-selling author and the founder of the Invest Diva movement, where we're moving towards helping 1 million moms take control of their financial future by the year 2025. This is the final part of the trilogy with Peggy McColl and Bob Proctor. And if you haven't watched the previous episodes, make sure to find them below in the description area, as they could simply change your life. Like, no biggie, change your life. Now let's go say hi to Peggy and Bob, shall we? The billion-dollar practice is the topic today. We have Bob Proctor and Peggy McColl, the author of Savvy Wisdom, and Bob Proctor doesn't even need an introduction. Peggy, Bob, I need your flash flood of information on a billion-dollar practice. Let's say one of your students came to you today and said, I want to become a billionaire. I want to make $1 billion. What are the exact steps you would tell them to take?
Same steps that Bob gave earlier. They're the exact same steps. It's no different between $1 billion or 100,000. Just decide that you want to make a decision. Is that what you really want?
So step number 1, make a decision. Is that really what you want?
Right. Make a decision. Write it down. Commit it to paper. Write down, I'm so happy and grateful now that I am a billionaire, or whatever the goal may be. We have a friend, Bob and I have a friend, and that's their goal, is to be a billionaire. And then you've got to feel and act as if you're already the billionaire every single day. I think the process is simple. And as you recall, Kiana, from reading Savvy Wisdom, that the challenge is really living it daily. Because it's simple, the process is simple, the steps are simple. The challenge is in the paradigms, because we're programmed a certain way, but we can change them. We can change them by impressing the new ideas into our subconscious mind through space-time repetition. And that's how we change a paradigm. So if the desire is to be a billionaire, then you've got to think, act like a billionaire every single day, continually throughout the day, not just once in a while or for 5 minutes with your eyes closed in the morning or the same in the evening. It has to be something that you really anchor in as you believe it. It's like you're walking down the road and you're feeling like, I'm a billionaire. Or you're thinking about, what are you going to do with those billions? Share it, generous. I remember Bob taught me that the first law of prosperity is generosity. And he's the most generous person I've ever met.
He's certainly generous with his time, and so are you. Actually, I had a question that popped up in our previous segment when we talked about Bob reads the book Think and Grow Rich every single day. And so I personally read my morning routine, I call it, which is like my future self and whatever that I have kind of manifesting every morning. Do you have something like that? Because I'm not getting a feeling that that is not enough. Like, acting it all day is very different than just having a morning routine.
Totally. And that's what a lot of people are doing. And they're patting themselves on the back going, oh, I did my gratitude this morning. I did my visualization. I did my affirmations. I did my mirror work or whatever they're doing. Like, I'm so good. And then they, walk out of their bathroom and they start getting uptight about the bills that are coming in or they have a dialogue with their friend and talk about what's wrong with their life or why things aren't working. They're not really living it.
That's so powerful. And now I really had a realization that's what I was doing. I was like, okay, morning routine. I'm getting my students to say I'm done with my morning routine every single day. You guys, breaking news, that's not enough. You got to act it every single day. And the good news is I feel like you're going to feel happy about it, because if you're acting like a billionaire.
Well, you feel happy if that's that's a choice. Happiness is a choice as well. We're really talking about process. I was reading actually this morning from this book called This Thing Called You by Ernest Holmes, which is a phenomenal book. And he says this, and it's really appropriate to what we're talking about right here. He says, it makes little difference what method you use, provided you have conviction. So you have that conviction, you have to feel it in your heart. He says, some will tell you that you should affirm the divine presence, denying all else. Well and good. This method will work. Others may tell you that all you need to do is ask, believing. They are right. Each receives according to his belief. Don't be too concerned over methods. That's what we're talking about here, right? Methods. Any method that leads to conviction will produce results. So what method? Like I'm very likely doing different things to what Bob's doing every single day. However, they're effective. Why? Because we have the conviction.
The trick, I think, Kenna, is you've got to sit down and decide what it is you want to accomplish. What kind of a person do you want to be? Take your pen and write in the present tense, I'm so happy and grateful now that. And write a description of the person you want to be. Here's a great book here. It's Stella Adler's book, The Art of Acting. Stella Adler was a great acting teacher. She was a method acting teacher. Method acting. Marlon Brando was the first method actor that reached superstardom. She was his instructor. In fact, he wrote the foreword the preface in the book. And Stella Adler never actually wrote a book. A man named Howard Kissel took all Stella Adler's acting lessons and turned it into a book. So when you read this book, you're going to her acting class. And now this is really, if a person is serious about wanting to really change their life, then you've got to ask, what do I want to be like? And then you've got to write the script and act like that person. And you've got to get to a point where you don't give a damn what anybody else thinks. It's what do you think that's important? Because you become what you think about. And you've got to see yourself as the person you want to be. You got to walk like that person. You got to talk like that person. You got to act like that person. Then you are that person. And all the rewards that will come to you are as a result of holding that image. That is exactly what Stella Adler did. That's exactly what Marlon Brando did. And that's exactly what Sophie did. Because although it's a novel, it's a parable, there's more truth in it than there is fiction. I met Peggy when she was a young girl in a company that I was speaking for. She was a very mixed up junior person in the administration area of the company. And when I was speaking, I quoted Vernon Howard. He said, you cannot escape from a prison if you don't know you're in one. That triggered something in Peggy's mind. She was in a prison of her own making, and like that, she thought, I'm getting out of here. Now, she started with virtually nothing. She's become very wealthy. She's written 18 books, and I don't know how many languages they're in, all over the world. All the top authors that you're going to find today have studied how to write a book with Peggy McCall. The story of Sophie in that book it's almost all true. I was savvy. I was the guy that woke her up. She and I became very good friends, and I've helped her over the years, for many years now. She's been in virtually every seminar I've run for the last 35, 40 years. And she not only studies it, but she does it. And so when she calls and asks if I'll help her, I said, of course I'll help you. Now, I'm coaching a person right now who wants to be a billionaire. It costs him $250,000 for me to coach him. I work with him for 30 minutes a week. He really believes he's getting his money worth. He really wants to accomplish his goal. And I really want to help him, and I'm going to. You see, you've got to get serious. If a person really wants to improve their life and they're watching your program here, Kiana, they want to get the book Savvy Wisdom and read it and understand they can be Sophie. Where Sophie became a famous author, they can become a famous anything they want. If they will take the time to sit down and write it on a piece of paper in the present tense. You see, I've got in my pocket here a goal card.
Me too.
My goal is on this card. When I read this book in 1961, the man that gave it to me said, if you will do exactly what I tell you, read this book every day. The man that wrote it spent his whole life studying 500 of the world's most successful people. If he spent his whole life writing it, I think it would be a prudent move on your part if you spent your whole life reading it and trying to understand what he said. Now, I don't know why, but I made a decision that day that I would do that. I had never done anything that had any degree of wisdom in my entire life. I never had a half-decent job. I was always broke. He had me write what I wanted on a card. I wrote on the card that I would have $25,000 in my possession by New Year's Day of 1970. I wrote that on the card in October 1961. Within a year, I was earning $175,000 a year. I started washing floors, cleaning offices. In less than 5 years, I was cleaning offices in Toronto, Montreal, Boston, Cleveland, Atlanta, London, England. And I was earning over $1 million a year. Anyone that will take the time to write what they want in the present tense and then carry it with them and read it every day, they're going to get it. Just as sure as it's going to get dark tonight, because that's why they're going to get it. It's by law. This whole universe operates by law. I'm going to leave you with something to think about. All of the other little creatures on the planet, Kiana, are completely at home in their environment. They blend in. It's like the birds in the trees or the squirrel running across the lawn. They blend in. They operate by instinct, which is perfect. You and I are the only creature on the world that is totally disoriented in our environment. And that is because we've been given the mental faculties to create our own environment. You're doing it on your show. Your show could become as famous as any show on television. You could become the next
Susie Orman.
Larry King, who's gone now.
Better.
You can do anything you want, but you've got to make up your mind you're going to do it. Write it on a piece of paper and then do it.
Love it. Love it. Write it on a piece of paper and carry it with you. This is different than what I used to do. I had a vision board. I try to read it every morning, but carrying it with you, oh my God, it's going to make it that much easier to act that way all day long.
Let me tell you what happens. When you write it, you create an image in your mind. Writing causes thinking. You think in pictures, and the pictures are tucked into a group of cells in your brain. Every time you put your hand in your purse or your pocket and touch the goal card, your sensory factor is affected, and a light message goes screaming through your central nervous system and activates the cells in your brain that have been impregnated with the image of your goal. And every time you touch this, the picture's coming on your mind. You become what you think about. That's the one point all great leaders agreed on. They disagreed on virtually everything else. Pick what you want.
Giddy. I'm so giddy.
Write it out.
I'm so giddy. I can't wait. This is so amazing. Thank you so much, Bob Proctor. Thank you so much, Peggy McColl. Thank you both for contributing to this book in real life. And thank you, Peggy, for writing it and actually serving other people. The stories in this book, people in the audience are saying, oh my God, I have 1,000 books to read. I would like to say this is such an easy read. And the stories are so so relatable to literally everybody. Like I could, with each story, I could think of somebody that I knew that was going through the same thing, and then you accomplish, and then the next thing you accomplish, you overcome the challenge and you become the better version of yourself over and over and over again. So if you're struggling to find a book to read it fast, I would totally recommend this book because it's an easy read and you probably can relate to it that much faster. And you guys, any parting words of wisdom?
I want to recommend everybody get a hold of that book, Savvy Wisdom. Put all the other books aside, read Savvy Wisdom, and say, I am going to do what this book teaches me. Now, I did that with Ray Stanford when he gave me this book in 1961. Within a year, my income went wild. There's enough good information in Savvy Wisdom for you to sit down and chart a brand new, beautiful course in your life. Get the book, Savvy Wisdom. Put all the other books aside, read it, study it, and do it. Peggy McCall is a phenomenal author. She is famous all over the world for her books. You will benefit from Savvy Wisdom. I want to thank you for having me on the show, Kiana. I've enjoyed it.
Thank you so much. And you guys couldn't be more right about this. It already changed my life. Thank you so much for being on the show. You guys at home, like this, you know what to do. Share it with anybody who needs savvy wisdom in their lives and with anyone who's struggling to go to the next step, because they're going to need it and they're going to be thanking you for sharing this video with them. I'll see you in the next video.
Thank you, Kiana.
At the end of each video, by the way, I ask all my guests to make a silly face and a count of 3, and both of you have to do it at the count of 3. Are you guys ready? 3, 2, 1. All right, I love it.